Episode 8. I almost missed my flight. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our A to English podcast. I hope you are having a wonderful day. Today's story is about one of the most stressful experiences I have ever had. The title of today's episode is I Almost Missed My Flight. Have you ever been late for something important? Maybe you were late for school. Maybe you were late for work. Or maybe you were late for a meeting. Being late can make us feel nervous, but missing a flight can completely change our travel plans. This story happened 2 years ago. I was very excited because I was going to visit another city for the first time. I had planned the trip for several weeks. I booked my flight. I reserved a hotel. I packed my suitcase 2 days before leaving. Everything seemed perfect. The night before my flight, I checked my ticket one last time. My flight was scheduled to leave at 9 o'clock in the morning. I planned to arrive at the airport at 7 o'clock. That would give me plenty of time. I set 2 alarms on my phone. One alarm was for 5 o'clock. The second alarm was for 5:15. Then I went to bed early. I felt relaxed because I believed everything was under control. The next morning, something unexpected happened. During the night, my phone battery had completely died. Because of that, neither of my alarms worked. I woke up naturally. When I opened my eyes, I looked at the clock. It was already 7:30. For a few seconds, I could not believe it. Then I remembered my flight. I jumped out of bed immediately. My heart was beating very fast. I quickly got dressed. I grabbed my suitcase. I forgot to eat breakfast. I even forgot my favorite hat. As I left the house, I called a taxi. Unfortunately, every taxi nearby was busy. I waited for several minutes. Those minutes felt like hours. Finally, one driver accepted my request. When the taxi arrived, I quickly put my suitcase inside. The driver looked at me and smiled. "You seem to be in a hurry." I laughed nervously. "Yes," I said. "My flight leaves very soon." He nodded. "I'll do my best." The traffic was heavier than usual. Many people were going to work. Traffic lights seemed to stay red forever. Every minute made me more nervous. I kept looking at my watch. I imagined the airplane taking off without me. After almost 40 minutes, we finally arrived at the airport. I thanked the driver and hurried inside. The airport was crowded. Hundreds of travelers were standing in long lines. Some people were checking in. Others were waiting at security. Families were saying goodbye to each other. Children were running around excitedly. I took a deep breath and joined the check-in line. While I was waiting, I checked the departure screen. My flight was still on time. That gave me a little hope. After checking in, I hurried toward security. The security officers asked everyone to remove metal objects from their pockets. I placed my phone, wallet, keys, and backpack into a tray. Everything was scanned carefully. The process took several minutes. After security, I looked for my gate. The airport was much larger than I expected. I followed the signs as quickly as possible. Suddenly, I heard an announcement. "This is the final boarding call for flight 482. My heart almost stopped. That was my flight. I started running. People moved aside as I hurried through the terminal. I finally reached the gate. The airline employee looked at my boarding pass. She smiled and said, "You arrived just in time." I could hardly believe it. I thanked her several times. Then I walked onto the airplane. As I found my seat, I sat down and took a deep breath. I felt tired, but I also felt very grateful. A few minutes later, the airplane took off. I looked out of the window. The city became smaller and smaller. The clouds surrounded us. Everything became peaceful again. While sitting on the plane, I thought about what had happened. I realized that one small mistake had almost ruined my trip. From that day forward, I changed several habits. Now I always charge my phone before going to bed. I also use a second alarm clock. Whenever possible, I arrive at the airport at least 3 hours before my flight. It is much better to wait at the airport than to arrive late. Traveling teaches us many lessons. Sometimes those lessons are exciting. Sometimes they are stressful. But every experience helps us become wiser. I also learned another important lesson. When problems happen, staying calm is very important. If I had panicked, I might have made even more mistakes. Instead, I focused on one step at a time. Call a taxi, reach the airport, check in, pass through security, find the gate. One small step after another. That simple approach helped me solve the problem. Now, every time I travel, I remember that morning. Instead of feeling afraid, I smile. It became one of those stories that I enjoy telling my friends. Sometimes our most stressful experiences become our funniest memories. Travel is full of surprises. Not every journey goes exactly as planned. Flights can be delayed. Weather can change. Roads can become busy. But every challenge teaches us patience and flexibility. Here are some useful travel expressions. Where is the check-in counter? Which gate is my flight? How much luggage can I take? What time does boarding begin? Is my flight on time? Could you help me, please? These expressions are useful whenever you travel by airplane. Before ending today's episode, I would like you to think about these questions. Have you ever been late for something important? How did you feel? Have you ever traveled by airplane? What do you always pack before a trip? Try answering these questions in English. Thank you very much for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed today's story and learned some useful English for traveling. Remember, good planning can save you from many problems. Stay organized, stay calm, keep learning, keep practicing. And I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.